The food is an element of the body. Whenever anybody is hungry, we eat food because the body requires it. The good deeds and the compassion and the good thoughts are the elements of the soul. A small parable of Jesus in the New Testament is about feeding. While he was preaching, the crowd followed him everywhere. The crowd was so big and it was late in the night, it was become dark, so he had that compassion for them, that for them to go back in the night is very difficult and they are hungry, they are following me. So he had to preach something. He asked his disciples that we have to feed them. They said we don't have money, food. But he said, go and ask who has. There was a boy who had 2 fish and 5 loaves of bread. He brought it out and he gave them to the disciples. Jesus blessed the food. The entire crowd was fed. And the food was overflowing. 12 baskets were left. This is what Jesus preached, that when you feed from your house, from your thought, if you feed people, your food in the house will be overflowing all the time, more than what you need. During the time of COVID, something that impacted me a lot was it was so hot in the capital city that I was living, and I was stuck there. I couldn't come up to Missouri. I was stuck up there. And then we saw hungry people on the roads. People could not go back anywhere to their homes. It was heat, scorching heat. There was no work for the laborers. They were totally hungry because they earn every day and they eat every day. For them it was so difficult. The work was finished, stopped, and they had no money to go back also, no food. Some were pregnant women, some were very small children, and all sitting on the roads. To see them was so difficult. We would watch them because the roads were near our homes and on the TV also. But in the afternoon, we would eat a good meal and sleep in the AC rooms. One day, nobody wants to go in the kitchen in the afternoons. Even the servants are told to sleep, take rest. And I heard some noise coming from the kitchen. I went and I saw, I was in my younger sister's home that time. She's my 4th sister, Sumita Das. And her eldest daughter, with the help of the servant, was cooking a great meal. A big, rice and some dal and everything was cooked. And I saw that this food quietly she was making so that we are not disturbed. And there were packets of tiffins which she had ordered long back had come to be packed, to pack the food. And then when the food was cooked, it was packed in those boxes with some pouches of water. And then she had put it in the car. She drove down to give food to those people, as many as she could give. The very thought of this young girl made me think that even in the house, when we were showing pity and talking all that, a thought came into one child, one girl. So she was also working from home because her business was from home that time, and no going out was there. And then it so happened that once she started giving, it started happening in such a way that all the people who thought of giving were not finding a way to give. But going out was like we were scared about corona and all that thing. Nobody was leaving homes. And then many people joined together, though they were not cooking, but they were giving the rations. The rations started pouring so much in the house that the servants were made to sit in the morning hours to make packages. Then the packages were distributed from one single thought, from one single home. Hundreds and hundreds of people were fed. Other homes also joined in their own way by adding to the food. This is what happens, that even one thought of a person can feed so many hungries. While the bigger people who are the very, very famous, earning in crores every day, we heard they were paying some crores of money to some government officials and places. What is that? Just feed few people. Make arrangements, make camps, make shelters with that money. Like there are so many organizations of gurdwaras and all, they feed lakhs and lakhs of people during that time, every day they do free food. Whenever food is given to the needy, to the poor, the food in your house will always be overflowing. Otherwise, you may be having a lot of money in the house and a lot of bank balances that you can feed hundreds of people every day, but you don't have this compassion inside of you to feed. So what God does is at times, He takes your appetite. You may be having money to eat even the best of foods, but you can't have because your body rejects that. So feeding is very important, as well as it has got its own reaction. When you feed, your food multiplies. In the Old Testament also, it is written about a small story of a widow. There was a famine where she was, and it was all getting too much for people. People were dying left and right. Elijah, the prophet, was sent to go there to a woman who was a widow with a small son. And he found her picking up some sticks. He asked her, "Give me some food." She said, "We don't have in our house. This is the last meal which I will be cooking, so I'm gathering these sticks. Very little flour and oil is left in my house." He said, "Go and cook." And then when she went inside, she cooked. What a miracle it is that is written there. The food that she cooked for the prophet was sent by God to help her. The flour and the oil was always overflowing in her house. It never finished. During the entire famine, the widow and her son survived because she finally did not say no to the prophet but gave the food. And that overflowing food, that is what she had through the entire famine, was the blessing. God always blesses those who feed. Many times we have seen how it helps. Even if you are feeding the animals, do it. They are hungry, very hungry. Not everyone gives, but if you make it a habit of giving food to certain animals every day, keep doing it, because God is watching your deed. With every good deed, blessing comes. In the Proverbs 25, as well as in Romans 12, it is written, when even the enemy comes to your house, you may be having fights with them or whatever it is, he doesn't like you. But If he is hungry, feed him. If he is thirsty, give him water. That is the way you are putting coal on his head. That means that person will think that all my life I've hated this person and had fights with him or her and I've never been good. But today when I am hungry, the people that I thought were good didn't even listen to me or took care of me. But my enemy, whom I considered and was thought to be my enemy, is the one who's giving me food, who's giving me water. What are you killing inside of him is killing the enmity. Like the coal burns it, burns everything. If you put a log in the fire, it burns and becomes ash. So does a good deed may finish the enmity also. The feeding is a blessing. Sometimes people have, it's written, have fed strangers. Perhaps you have fed the angels. And it happened with me also. An old man comes to my house. My husband was posted in Allahabad. And there is a place in Allahabad, where, in Banaras, nearby place, where they bring the old men of the house and women who are dying. So they do all the rituals in the place where they live, and from the village they bring them, and then they leave them in a place where they finally live the dying years. So all the rituals of the death are done in the place where they were living, and from the village the sons bring them and leave them there. With all the money given to the people when he dies, it should be, they should be informed, and then he should be burnt there. And this man comes who looked very nice to me, wearing nice clean clothes, dhoti kurta where the villagers wear. And he just came, he knocked my door, and I asked the orderly to, my husband was in the army, so we get orderlies to work. My maid was making food, and he asked for food. I came to know somebody is asking for food. I said, okay, fine, make him sit and give him. And I came out and saw an old man who doesn't look like beggar at all. So I said, give him a place to sit properly in a chair, put a small stool in front of him and serve him warm food. And I told my maid to put a nice plate, put all the dal chawal, whatever food is cooked, and give it to them. And then later on, after feeding him, I will talk to him. There's something wrong, I just sensed it. So when he had his meal and everything, I went out and I sat with him. I said, you look a good man, something good about you. You don't look like a person who is begging anything. No, I'm not a beggar. I need some money to go back to my village. What happened? Then he told me this story, that I have a land, property and farm. I have 3 sons, always fighting for partitions and all that to give us before her. My wife is gone long back. So my sons and the daughter-in-laws were taking care of me. I was sick and they wanted me to die. So they called the lawyer and got everything divided. And after that they are done with me. So they brought me here to finish my last days of my life, thinking I will die. So for them I am dead. I did come to Banaras with like a very sick man. On a cot they brought me and they left me there with money for my last rites. But I survived. All the sickness went away, and when I was okay, I decided I will go back to my village and show my son that it was difficult for you to feed me when I was sick, though it was easy for you to have all the land and properties that I had, and you made it in your name, but you couldn't give me food. Others, where I was living, they fed me well, and I'm fine now, and I'm alive. But I don't have money to go back. I need some money for my ticket. I'll go by bus and take the tickets. buy the ticket for myself and go. And whatever he asked me, the money I gave him to go back. That little incident, I do not know who he was. That stranger, maybe the angel trying to test me, that do I have compassion for people? I do not know who he was. He came and he went away. What happened, I do not know about it. But these are the deeds and the things which come into your life suddenly. You should always be prepared to help. One small deed maybe was sent by God to test you. Feeding is a very great thing to do in the eyes of God. Feed as much as you can to whomsoever you can and from your heart. The deed of feeding by anyone is always a blessing. Your food will overflow in your house. The blessings of food will always be there when you feed. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you like little message and the personal experiences that I share. Do like, subscribe and share my videos, my channel, Word of Wisdom decoded by Anita Binepal, and this is Anita Binepal. Thank you for watching.